Hello, hello. Welcome back to the podcast. It is very rare that I have somebody on this podcast that is basically brand new to business. But that's where Anthea was when she joined Systems in Session. So even if you have heard like every other case study that I have done with previous clients, I really want you to pay attention to this one because we're taking a direction that I just haven't had the opportunity to take before. Anthea, welcome to my podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming. So, I already alluded to the fact that you were brand new to business. So, my
Yeah.
first question is literally brand new. What made you decide to get a CRM and really like work on your systems before you even started letting people in to like pay you for your services?
Well, I think it comes from my corporate background. I've worked in CRMs pretty much my entire professional career. I know how important they are, and I know what an absolute pain in the butt it is if you try to move anything. If you start off small and then you grow and then you realize you need this and you realize that. And it makes it the longer you're in something simple, the harder it is to change to something that you need as you grow. So I just figured, let's just start with the end goal in mind. Let's just set it up because the sooner I've got that set up, the means as well, while I'm still new to business, and my clients also know that I'm newer to business, if things go wrong, they're a little bit more forgiving of it. I've still got the time to have the personal touch with them to really explain to them why things haven't quite worked out as I thought that they would work out. And then I can fix it so that when I do get busier, as I do get more and more clients coming through, and I lose that time to be able to fix anything, it's already working fine.
It's just so awesome that you say this because there's like a running joke. People are like, hey, where should I be in my business before I get a CRM? And I'm always like, if you have two or three clients, it's time for a CRM. And people are like, no, like I can't justify the price. I don't even really know what I'm doing with my offers. And I'm like, that's okay. Because every hour that you spend when you are setting up your systems now will pay you tenfold in the future. But also, as your client base grows,
Yeah.
you're not spending time trying to figure that shit out in the moment. You have your systems down so that then you can spend more time marketing and getting more clients. And so, I love that you said that. I try to encourage people to think this way and it just never works out.
Well, I think that, as I said, it comes from the corporate background, and so my corporate job, so I work in photography part time and I work in my corporate job part time. And that part time job is in learning consulting. So I work with all sorts of different corporate organizations, designing training. And a lot of the time it's for change projects, change of policies, change of procedures, change of systems. And a change of systems is always the most frustrating and annoying one to do, partly because it's change of behaviors, but it's people are so ingrained in this is how it works, and the amount of time it takes to get them to shift how they're thinking and shift their behaviors for the new system is one of my most hated things. I would much rather design an onboarding program than a change program because onboarding, it's a fresh, clean slate. They don't know what used to happen. They don't know anything else. So you're able to just go in and go, this is how it is, and then develop the behaviors and the processes and everything you want.
So people don't develop bad habits from the beginning. That's what I heard you
Exactly.
say.
Yes.
And it's really interesting because now that you said that, I had two different people this week because I'm currently in a launch for Systems in Session. By the time this airs, Q2 could possibly be sold out. I don't know. But when we're recording, I am currently booking for April, May, and June kickoff calls. And I've had two people this week who both contacted me and asked, hey, Coley, like I have no systems. Will Systems in Session work for me? And I'm like, oh my God, absolutely. Hallelujah. Yes, blank slate. Let's go. And
Yeah.
I told my fractional CMO, Chelsea, this, and Chelsea's like, why are they asking you that? Like, of course, Systems in Session will work if you don't have systems. And so I'm like, don't you worry. I'm interviewing Anthea lately, and or don't you worry. I'm interviewing Anthea soon, and she's going to set the record straight.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And the time that we did my system session, we did it in a 30-day block. That I think I said to you at the start, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it done in the 30 days.
You
And
did.
I did. I was kind of lucky because I do juggle a lot in my life. my corporate job, because being a contractor, the hours do change. And I just happened to have a lull. And I kind of said to them, look, it's not that terrible that I've got a lull because I'm trying to set up all this stuff in my photography business. And I have uni because I'm also doing a master's of education. And I'm like, so it's kind of okay because I'm balancing. I'm like, I can smash all this out and I know you've got these bigger projects coming and I can make sure I'm set up. So then that way, all I have to focus on in the photography is getting clients, editing their photos, having the shoots, really maximizing that client engagement and just continuing to build the nice little add-ons. Like on my website, I've got a client portal area where they can have a look at the different types of products and things. They can get the guide on like what to wear, because I do pet photography, how to prepare your dog for a session, like grooming, the how to match a collar to where you're going, to your clothing, like all those kind of things. I've got that on my website, but there's parts of that that I can just slowly add on to as I'm going. I've got the core basis there. It's good to go. And then I just can just add to it as I'm able to.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was amazing. You were like, yeah, I'm like practically brand new. And I'm like, oh my gosh, let's go. So I am glad that you brought up the fact that you did a 30-day sprint because I don't offer that publicly. But you
Yeah.
were one of the two people who basically said, I volunteer as tribute to kind of test this out. And you were really concerned about not being able to get it done in 30. And I was like, well, don't worry. If you don't get it done in 30, you can just extend for an additional cost for the extra 30 days and just try it out. Now, I will say, since you were in systems in session, I mean, and you did a 30-day sprint, so it's a little different. I don't know if you've heard on the podcast, but now I really encourage everybody to get through one offer in 30 days. And that additional 30 days is for refinement, it's for
Yeah.
testing, and it's for them to kind of duplicate the processes that we started and customize them for their additional offers, which you wouldn't have needed because you do pet photography, only pet photography, and you have no interest in doing anything else.
A little bit, yes, but I do have the seasonal sessions that I offer, and like just even setting up things like the proposal, so that if I've got clients that want to do a payment plan, like one of the clients that I had in January, she just got her gallery last night, and she was basically said, I want the whole lot, I want the whole collection. Give me the top tier. Can we talk about a payment plan? So working with you to figure out how to set up the proposals and things like that, and even just invoices with the payment plans in Dubsado just makes it so much easier because I can confidently say, yeah, sure, no problems, we can do that. Why don't we, just in case you want to spend even more than that, why don't we have a quick chat before we set that up for you so we can get as much into the payment plan as you want?
Awesome. I mean, let's talk about clients because, again, you did this before you really had clients. And you did
Yes.
have one or two that you were able to send things. And, like you said, you warned them, hey, this is a brand new process. I would really
Yes.
appreciate it if you could tell me if anything is like bad on your end. I won't take it offensively. I need to know these things. So, what
Yes.
has your marketing and kind of working with clients look like since you finished systems in session? Because, just for reference, when we're recording this, Anthea actually finished almost 6 months ago. So it's been quite some time.
Yes. Yeah, it's been a little bit. So I have been focusing a bit more so on organic, just not like paid ads as so much. I'm not really in a position where I feel comfortable with that. I don't really know enough about it to go down that route and potentially waste money. So I haven't really done that. But I've gone to markets, I've had referrals from other people. So I literally had a woman call me in middle, well, she put an inquiry through my website using the Dubsado contact form. And she literally just said, hey, I want to book a session. And I didn't know the name, didn't know anything. And then when we were on a call, I was like, oh, so by the way, like, how did you get to me? She's like, oh my God, my niece, you photographed her dog. Every time we go over, we see the photo in her house. And that dog was actually a model call while I was still learning how to shoot dogs. But it is one of my all-time favorite photos that I've taken. Not this photo, but it is absolutely gorgeous. It's a German Shepherd in Parliament House here in Melbourne, Australia, and it is like the colours, the warmth. We were just starting to hit golden hour, and it was hitting the building, and it's like those old, I think like sandstone, limestone,
Mhm.
I don't know, the old stone look, and it was just beautiful how it was all complementing his colours. He's got a little bit of the brown, orangey brown tones through his fur, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And she was like, I want that. I want that. I want you to create something like that. She's like, your vision. I just want your vision, which was amazing.
Well, let's talk about a little bit of your customer journey because I do think it's really interesting that you are a brand new photographer, but you really focused on like the getting to know your client. And you
Yeah.
probably have one of the most in depth inquiry forms that I've ever seen, which I mean, you remember what I said when I looked at it and I was like,
Yes.
Anthea, I like half this stuff you shouldn't be asking at this point. And you're like, well, no, Coley, this is why I do it. So talk to me about how you see your inquiry form working for the rest of your systems.
So I want to be able to gather information at that initial stage that tells me, number one, am I going to be the right photographer for you? But also, what value can I add to your experience with me? Is there something that I can let you know about? So if you tell me that, oh, my dog's reactive and I do specialize in reactive and aggressive dogs, then I immediately know, okay, well, we're not going to go to the CBD on a weekday at the end of like peak hour when there's a shit ton of people around. Like that's not going to be helpful for your dog. So maybe a forest location is going to be better. So that way, when I have that consultation with them, I can already be having those conversations with them. I can get an understanding of what level of training they have. If they've got a dog that's high in prey drive, well, we probably don't want to be going out into the middle of the bush kind of locations where there's kangaroos. And I've actually also recently seen deer and goats out there. So it can be pretty intense with the wildlife in some of my locations because I do focus on locations I can take reactive dogs to where I can guarantee we're not going to see people.
Mhm.
But it does come with the downside that means we have our native wildlife,
Yeah.
and native wildlife are very prey triggering. So I want to know that as early as possible so I can have the right conversations with them when I first speak to them. So I can drive them towards time of day, time of year, type of locations that are going to suit what they're looking to display in their homes, but also what's going to be best for their dog.
Yeah. I mean, and one of the questions, if I'm not mistaken, because now I'm like, oh, is my memory failing me? I
I
mean,
had to
I
bring it
think
up
that
as well myself.
you were asking them about vaccine records. Am I correct? Like,
Yes.
yes. And I was like,
Yes.
can't we wait for that until after they've actually paid you money? I was like, I don't think you need a copy of that like right now.
So I don't need a copy. It's more so around, especially if I'm photographing younger dogs or newly rescued dogs, because those dogs do not have the same immune system that older dogs that have been getting regular vaccines every single year. Because depending on, there's about 4 to 5 different vaccines, I think, here in Australia that we give our dogs, and they're at, like, say, different intervals. I think 1 or 2 might be annually, a couple like every, say, 3 years, and another one's every 5 years. So depending on where your dog is at, they may not have had all of it. The body may not be at the right immune system level. And things like parvovirus can actually hold into dirt locations and grass for like 12 to 18 months
Mm-hmm.
if another dog with parvo has been in that area. So if your dog is very, very young, maybe not fully immunized or newly rescued and maybe only just starting to go through the immunization process, well, then I'm going to be telling you, let's steer away from public parks where there's lots of grass. Let's stick to either the middle of the bush where there's hardly any ever dogs out there, let alone ones that are likely to have parvo, or we're going to stick to concrete environments like the CBD where parvovirus is able to be washed away very, very quickly and easily. So again, it's about helping me inform them of the different risks and benefits of different locations for their dogs.
And I absolutely love this entire part of the conversation because think about it, guys. I looked at her form and I was like, that's too much. But she has just described why that is part of her process. And like, that's what's so important in systems in session is that I have my opinions, but I really do ask you the questions so that if you want to make a different decision, I understand it and I can help guide you to making forms and processes and writing your emails that will be most effective whoever your client is and whatever service you provide. Now, speaking of your clients, what have they thought of your process? Because again, like I don't want to say you didn't know any better, but they definitely didn't know any better. And so what did they think of your process as took one client from the inquiry form all the way through to delivery of the gallery and then their ordering session?
Yeah, so I'll go with the first one because she actually started her process while we were still building systems in
Mhm.
session. So once we built the initial kind of workflow up until basically where the session date would be, that's when I then sent her the form and the proposal and everything like that. And she made the comment pretty much straight away. So this is a girl that I had worked with professionally, and she like through our little professional, there's like a little like on Slack we were using at the time, a little channel just like general chit chat, and we can talk about whatever you want. And I mentioned a couple of the photography awards that I'd won, and I shared some of the photos I'd submitted. And so she saw that and she was like, oh my God, I want to book with you. And it just kind of was this thing where we were both kind of just in and out, blah, blah, blah. Like it never really worked out. And I said to her, look, I got to a point mid last year. I went, hey, can we just wait? Because I know I want to do this thing with you. Can we wait till I get that set up and then I can run you through that? I'm like, you know me, you know how anal I can be about making sure things are right and like perfect. So you can be my guinea pig. You can give me some feedback. And she was like, yep, no problems. So she filled that in, and her pretty much first comment was, she laughed and she was like, I can see you all over this. She's like, having worked with you, I can hear your voice. I can see where you're going with everything. And she's like, while some people might think it's probably a little bit overkill, she's like, I know you. I know you've got a logic behind absolutely everything that you've included and every question that you've asked, exactly where you're going with this. She's like, I don't necessarily know exactly where you're going, but I know you're going somewhere.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's one of the things that people question, though. They're like, are my clients even going to be able to tell the difference? And the answer is absolutely yes.
even the woman that I'd never spoken to before that knew me because her niece had modeled her dog for me once, and that was a free model call, that was not a paid session. And so she literally was like, I pulled up the proposal in our consult, and I was like, well, if you know that you want to book with me, here's this form, I'm going to send you the link. If you know you want to sign on, just literally scroll straight down to the bottom. And that was something that you and I had a conversation about, I think, about how to do that. And then a marketing coach that I got in touch with last year to talk about like the markets and things like that, how to approach that. She was like, don't do that. Like they're going to have to scroll so far. I'm like, yeah, but if I'm on the call with them, I can just tell them to scroll all the way down to the bottom. And she was like, oh yeah, I guess you can. I'm like, because it is right down the bottom. It's not like you've got to go 3/4 of the way down the page and then you've got the bit to fill in. So you got to be careful how far you go. And she was like, yep, no, this is great. This is so good. And she, even as she was scrolling, she was like, oh, wait, is that the different collections that you offer? Because I use this simple sales
Mm-hmm.
system. And I was like, yes. I'm like, did you want to pause on that? We'll have a chat about that. And I was able to have that chat with her then and there, and even talk about the fact that they weren't looking for fully custom artwork, but they would like more than 3 digital files. We were immediately like, okay, well, that's the middle tier. Like something as simple as that. We were able to kind of have that conversation around her expectation. And I was also at that point, because we were able to chat about the collections and what is included in the collection, I was able to get a bit of a feeling of the type of artwork that she was going to be looking for, so that when I was in my session, I was able to start kind of already planning and thinking about how is she potentially going to want to display this on her wall.
Mm-hmm.
So she had 2 dogs. So I was able to then make sure I got individual photos of each dog in the same location. I got photos of the 2 of them together. I got like whole different mix and match of different things. And she's already said to me they've got a bit of a plan about how they want to display it on the wall. She's just got to confirm with the husband the final decision before she puts her order in.
No,
So
and I mean, all of that is great. And I think it's interesting that you talked to that marketing coach about scrolling all the way down, because my thing is, even if you're having a consultation call with someone, I like the proposal to have all of that information again, the process, your collections, if you're doing simple sales, timelines, frequently asked questions, because often if a client is super excited and you're talking on the call, sometimes they don't remember what you said. And so having all of that information in the proposal before they actually fill it out and sign with you is just another way of assuring them that they are fully on board, that they got all the
yeah,
information, and that they can basically peruse it when they need to. Or if, say, you have a consultation with one person and they need to consult with their partner, which, guys, is not always a bad thing, they can
it's
show
a
them
good
the
thing.
proposal and give them all of the information. And I love that you were able to like take that pause during, because I've often told people, when you're on a consult call, play around with sending them the proposal right before the call, or bring it up on your screen and screen share so that you can actually walk them through it. I personally feel, I mean, I haven't timed it or anything, but I feel like when you do that, it actually reduces the time between a consultation call and someone potentially booking you, because it's
Yeah,
not like they verbally heard you on the call and then they have to visually process it after when you give them the proposal. You're actually doing both at the same time, which makes sure that they understand each part before, again, they're filling in their information, they're signing the contract, and then they're paying the invoice.
yeah. And she did that literally within minutes of getting off the call.
Was it less than 5 minutes, Anthea? Come on, tell me that it was a 5-minute booking
I
process.
gotta say, I think it was like 3 minutes after.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so what happens after the clients are getting booked? Like, what does your process look like then? And how
Yeah.
did we craft systems to kind of guide them and create that
Mm.
consistent experience for everybody?
And this is another thing that you were concerned about why I was doing it, is that because I've got to account for the different temperaments of the dogs, the different types of styles that people might want, the different seasons, things like that. So, as I said before, if you have dogs that are reactive, well, then going to the CBD for an urban shoot on a weekday at 5 p.m. is not a great idea. But if you go at 6 a.m. on a Saturday, there is absolutely zero people around. Not only does that make my life a shit ton easier editing because I don't have to edit people out in
Mhm.
the background, but it means that we don't have to stress about the dogs freaking out. So what I do is once they sign the contract and pay the invoice, so that invoice is the session fee that they need to pay, that then will send them information to the client experience portal. And I did call it experience portal, so it was different to the Dubsado client portal.
Okay.
I did purposely think about that. And in that client experience portal, I have a location guide, and those locations cover my main options, the best time of year to go to them, the best times of day. If you've got a reactive dog, considerations for that, whether it's a, hey, this location is not at all suitable to reactive dogs, or it is at these times of day or days, that type of thing. So I have all that there. And then that way I want them to have access to that. So if they sit there and go, I want a CBD shoot, but I've got a reactive dog, well, then they know, okay, when I'm looking at your calendar to book a time to actually have my session, I need to be looking at weekends and I need to be looking at sunrise. If they want to be out in the forest, well, then, okay, the middle of summer went during peak snake season, probably not a good idea to do an afternoon shoot at that time. And I will say my dog and I have come across a tiger snake in one of these locations, which is why I say no afternoon shoots in that location in summer.
Oh,
So
I
so
mean,
they can then have all that information, they can make an informed decision, pick the day and time that is most suitable for them and their dog and the artwork they want in their home. So that way it's not like they pick a location, they go, oh wait, shit, my dog can't go to this location at this because I picked that time. Oh, that's not great. I didn't want that.
and I feel compelled to say, first of all, her portal is amazing, y'all. Like, I think I recorded a video when I was like, holy shit, Anthea, like this is great. It's not that I objected to her having a portal on her website, because I think all of us know I personally hate Dubsado's portal. And anytime I have a client that's like, hey, Coley, should I use the portal? Like my almost immediate visceral response is no. I mean, the part that I was questioning was her scheduling the session after they booked and having the multiple calendars to do it. That was the part that threw me off. But again, when we have this conversation, this is what I really want to emphasize to everybody. We build systems that work for how you work with your clients. And so it's not really my job to tell you, no, don't do that, or no, I won't allow you to do that, to be even like crazier. It's my job to make sure that you thought of all of the pitfalls that come with using a particular software to do it this way. But sometimes what you need outweighs the like extra manual work that it will take to make it all work together. And so again, that's what we did in the case with Anthea, because I will say with her, I didn't do as much of like the actually mapping out the customer journey. Like she knew how she wanted this to work. And so it was just my job to help her put the pieces together in Dubsado the best way that we possibly could with like
Yeah.
minimal friction.
Yes, and that because I do the photography part time and I don't do it full time. I know that okay, we'll say 3 days before the session. I can't remember exactly what time frame, but it's like 2.5, 3 days before. Is I want them to have an email come through reminding them of their session and be like, by the way, remember to look at the guide about what to wear, this, that, and the other, what to bring. And then I have another one that's set to go like I think 6 hours before their session to be like, this is what I need you to literally bring to the session, including things like appropriate footwear, because if we're in the middle of the bush in winter, guess what? Your little sandals are not going to cut it in mud. Things like a long line for your dog who, if they're not able to be safely off leash, we can keep them on a leash so they don't run off after that kangaroo, and I can just edit their leash out later. Like treats, toys, all that kind of thing. I had that all set up and I knew that I wanted them to have those reminders at that time, but I also know that I do not have the time, and my memory is bad enough. I would probably, even if I had the time, forget to
Mhm.
go in and send them those emails and those reminders, or I would forget a key piece of information. So having it all automated, and then let's say 2 weeks before their session, I get a little Dubsada reminder, hey, you need to approve this email. And I can go in and I can just tweak the little bits that I might need to do for their particular location choice. And then it all just does it for me. And then
Yes.
occasionally they send me an email or a message, be like, hey, can I just check? And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I sent you an email, didn't I?
Sometimes, I mean, I've told this story, but like I've been at Disneyland and I'm on Dumbo and I get a notification that somebody filled out a client questionnaire and I'm like, I don't even remember which client that is, but great. I mean, they were clearly sent the questionnaire and or a reminder to fill it out. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's been 6 months. And
Yes.
one of the things that I usually encourage my clients to do is, hey, quarterly, every 6 months, every year, you should be looking at your systems to see if there are places to improve, tweaks that you want to make. So I
And
am curious, in the last 6 months, have you done any major adjusting to the systems that we built together?
I have actually, well, not, I wouldn't say major, but I would say a few small tweaks, things that I found didn't work quite as smoothly as I wanted, or maybe there was a step that I wanted to add because working with them, I was like, oh, I kind of wish I could do that. Oh, that's right. I have workflows. I can just tell it to do that for me. So I have added in a couple of different steps. The client feedback form the template that you gave me,
Mhm.
I had a friend of mine, my ambassador, who went to fill it in. She was like, I filled in, I entered all the questions, then like I clicked the link to go to the Google review, but then like, oh my God, did I just lose all my answers because it didn't open in a different thing? She was freaking out, and it was like at 6 in the morning. My alarm hadn't even gone off at that point in time, so I didn't even see her messages as she's texting me. And then I wake up and I'm like half an hour later and she's like, oh, it's okay. It's all right. It saved it. She's like, I think maybe if you had a little line in there saying that I wouldn't have freaked out. I was like, I will do that. And so I
Noted.
literally that day went in and I put that line in saying, don't worry, like fill in this form, click the Google review link. This is all going to save. Once you press like send on the Google review, come back to this and then press submit. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
it'll
mean,
all save.
but I also feel like that means that your button doesn't have it clicked. Anthea, when we finish this podcast episode, we're going to go check because there's
Okay.
literally a little checkbox that you can check that says open in a new window. So I want you to do that if it's not already
Oh.
checked so that it does
Does
open.
that work if they're on a mobile though?
Oh,
If
no.
they've because if they've been on their mobile phone,
Correct.
because she's on her mobile, she opened it from her email in her mobile. She clicked the link from the email in her mobile, which I know my emails. It opens as a browser within the like say my Gmail
Correct.
app, and then it only opens up another browser on top of that. So I'm like,
Okay.
that's probably where it happens.
That is probably where it happens because literally I'm having like a little bit of a, oh shit, how did I not get that in testing? But I mean, in my defense, I don't test y'all stuff on mobile. I test it on my computer so that I can record everything in Loom. But no, that makes total sense being on a mobile. And I mean, I sometimes I get people that are like, everybody's doing everything on their mobile. Occasionally I will have clients that are like, oh, everybody's going to open this on their phone. And I'm like, well, when you send them the email with the proposal, or you send them an email with something that you want to make sure that they're actually looking at it on a big screen, just tell them to open it on a big screen. I mean, people will do what you tell them to, but you have to tell them to do it.
Yes, and I have that actually in my simple sales system in the literally the very, 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 very first email that goes out to them to say your gallery is now live. I literally say, there is a video. The video is only going to be there for 2 days. Do not click this link. Just don't. Do not click this link. Get everyone that you want to be involved in this entire like viewing process, get them all ready to sit down, get yourself onto as big a screen as you can. If you can cast your phone to your TV, if you've got a laptop, a desktop, if you've got a computer that's connected to the TV, whatever it is, get it on the biggest, best screen that you have and make sure you watch it on that. Once you've got that set up, then you can click on the link. And so
Yes.
I tell them very, very explicitly because for that experience, I don't want them watching it on a tiny little screen. It's not going to have the same emotional impact. I want them to have the big cinema movie thing. I even say to them, pour a drink, pour a drink, sit down on the couch and watch
Cocktails
it.
encouraged. Yes.
Pretty much. So when there's something that I say needs to be on the very, very, if I need it to be something specific, I tell them it needs to be on this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the proposal I basically, as we were designing it, I was constantly looking at it on my mobile to be like, how is everything flowing? Are the boxes in the right order? So it's not like you go say
Mhm.
first name, email, last name, like date of birth. Like it's just that doesn't flow. Whereas if you've set it out right in the boxes, well, then you're going to have first name, last name, mobile, email type flow, regardless of whether you're on a computer or your mobile.
Yes, 100%. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and I don't actually know what your answer is. So I'm going to be
Okay.
surprised with everybody else. What is your favorite part of your systems inside Dubsado? Like, what is the one feature that you set up that you're like, holy shit, I would never live without this, like, ever again?
I think it's just the workflows as a whole.
Okay.
Like just having everything automated, because to me that is such a time saver. I don't have to sit there and be like, oh, it's like, say I've got their invoice paid, great, so they're at this stage of it. Okay, now that I've got to send them the link to be able to then book their actual date and time. Okay, well now I need to give them the reminder email. Okay, now I need to give them this. Like I don't have to sit there and remember to do that. I don't have to be chained to my computer doing that. Like I manage so many things in my life. I don't want to have to do that. So that in and of itself takes so much off my brain and off my list of things that I have to do. And it's pages long list my whole life. I wish I could get back down to a simple life, but I'm getting there. So having just the workflows take up like probably I reckon 80% of just like the emails, the communication, that kind of thing. And then if they've got a very, very, very specific question, they're obviously going to contact me and then I answer that question. But if it's just general things, it's either in the client experience portal, it's already being provided to them in one of the automated emails, and my system updates things for me. It even does the, like, say, the 12 hours or whatever it is after the session. It will change based on the calendar, dates and times and everything that the session has now happened, and it sends them a thank you email.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of those little touches that the clients appreciate. It makes them easier. They don't have to be sitting there going, oh, you said you would send me this link, or you said you'd send me this information, and then I go, oh my god, I haven't gotten around to that. I don't have any of that stress or conflict.
And that's awesome. And normally I would follow this up with the, hey, Anthea, like how many hours do you think that it's saving? But you weren't doing it manually to start with. So you don't know how many hours this ended up.
No,
Yeah.
but I can imagine it would save me a lot. And I also know that it would save me a lot of stress. And knowing my life and everything else, like I'm trying to build healthier habits. I'm trying to manage everything better so that I can reduce stress in my life. So that's just another thing that's going to help me do that.
I mean, and I would also typically say, what percentage of your client communication do you think is automated? I don't know if you've heard me say this, but when I help people plan their customer journeys and their client communication library, most of the time, 80% of your emails can be automated. But I feel like
Yeah.
with you, we probably hit more than 90%, which is
I'd
awesome.
say probably more than 90. I think the only real time I get me personally having to do anything, and it's usually like, say, the 1 or 2 days before a session about oh, hey, just quickly checking this, that, and the other. Oh my, or like on the day, oh, I'm just running 5 minutes late. Or it's, say, they know they've seen the sneak peeks on my Instagram story. They know the gallery is getting close. They're like, oh my God, I love it. I can't wait. And like the girl who got her gallery last night, she literally sent me a message being like, I'm sobbing. These photos are amazing. She's like, you've literally captured us in time, a moment in time. She's like, I love it. So it's like those kind of communications are obviously, I'm the one actually physically doing that. But I would say, yeah, probably 95% of the rest is all automated.
That is super awesome. And I can't personally wait to see what that client says in your feedback because, you're going to be able to take it and potentially use it as social proof in your proposal or sprinkle it inside your client communication. I mean, I'm excited for
Yes.
you.
Well, and I've even my friend who was the one who got the proposal while we were still in systems in session, we had an issue with one of her prints, so I've had to get that reprinted. So I should get that early next week. I've got it coming to me so I can triple check it is actually correct this time. But she has been sending me things along the way, and I've been kind of like just mentally keeping tabs of where it all is so I can go back and put that together into social proof. But she actually literally said to me the other day when I said, confirmed, it's all ordered. It's coming to me to make sure it's all good. Once I've confirmed, I'll post it out to you, because she lives about 2 hours down the coast from me. She drove into Melbourne to be able to have her session with me, which is amazing. And she said, I think I've covered everything. You can use whatever you want out of everything I've said for like your social proof, your marketing, whatever. And I'm like, oh, don't worry. You're also getting a form with specific questions about that.
Oh, don't you worry, Coley. I mean, I have the feeling you would have written one even if I didn't force you, but I'm always like, oh no, here's the template. You will go edit this. I mean, and I have clients that are sometimes like, no, I don't want to use a form. And I'm like, could you humor me? I'm going to give you the template. Could you just customize it and it'll just be sitting in your Dubsado so that if you want to use it in the future, you have it. I mean, there's nothing better than giving your clients a form where they can actually tell you about the different parts of the client experience and how they
Mm.
felt. And then, I mean, my testimonial form even has a place for you to upload your favorite photo. And I always tell my clients, like, that's the one that you should use when you are sharing their testimonial or adding it to your website. Like, use the photo that they love, because then that's just like one more touch point to where they realize you were listening to them because they shared that as their favorite and that's the one that you used.
Yes, and I knew I wanted a form because any of the businesses that I've worked with, when they go, oh, give us a rating. So in the corporate environments, it's an NPS survey, and it's basically you get given 3 questions, usually up to 5, but 3 is kind of the ideal, and you scale on a 1 to 5 kind of ratio, and then because it's like, okay, did this person answer your question today? Do you feel like your problem was resolved? Would you recommend us to family or friends? Like they give you really, really, really specific information, like questions to answer. And I even find like everything I do, if people give me questions to answer, it's much quicker for me to give feedback. It's much quicker for me to be able to give them the information that they need. So I knew I wanted to do that. But at the same time, I didn't really have an idea of what were the right questions to ask someone. So then getting your form, I tweaked a couple of the questions a little bit, obviously to suit pet audience,
Mm-hmm.
but it gave me a really, really good basis. I went, oh, okay, yeah, I can see how that goes to that. And then like I think I tweaked one, and then I got to one of the ones further down. I'm like, oh no, I'm putting back to where it was because I can see how it leads into that. Yeah. So that was really beneficial. Yeah. There's probably one other thing I will say as well. I think it's a session questionnaire, the one that goes out about 2 or 3 weeks before the actual session. I asked them to upload photos of their dogs. And I had someone ask me, why do you do that? Like when we're actually in the session, like, why do you do that? Like, I'm happy to do it, but like, why do you do that? And I said to them, well, every dog, because dogs are a little bit different, they come in different coat colors, styles, everything like markings. And I try to, as much as possible, if I know ahead of time what they look like and the location, I can start to plan ahead of time where I want to be in that location, at what points of the sun coming down the golden hour to make your dog look as good as possible. So it's like little things like that as well. Again, micromanaging, planning, control freak.
Mm-hmm.
But it means that I already know where to place them to get the exact right, like fluffy dogs, you get this beautiful rim line, but you want it more filtered than you would with a short coated dog because you're more likely to blow out the highlights in their fur. So like stuff like that.
Your experience is just so custom. And it's hysterical to me, though. You are really customizing it, but everything that you're gathering from your clients is completely automated. And so I feel
Yeah.
like this is just like the sign that I will hold up and like I will die on this hill. Automation does not mean that it's not a custom experience. It just means that you've pre planned and that you are spending as little time managing it as possible, but you can still give your clients a completely custom, high touch experience with low effort on your end.
Yeah. I have been known to, while I'm filling up my car with fuel on my phone, looking through someone's session answers to go, okay, do I need to respond to this? Do I need to ask any follow up questions when I get home?
Yeah.
So it's very handy.
Amazing. So I'm going to ask you one like final question. I usually ask it at the beginning, but like this interview has just been all kinds of different. So at the
Sorry.
end of do not apologize. That is why you are here. At the end of the day, I always ask my clients like what made you decide to do it with me instead of doing like a DIY or, hiring somebody to do it for you. So Anthea, why was done
Okay.
with you what you chose?
So I think I contacted you August 2025 to get into the 30-day system. I had gotten Dubsado in the 2024 Black Friday deal going, I've heard your, so I had heard you on Anami's podcast. I'd heard you talking about Dubsado. I'd done some research. I knew I wanted a CRM, and I was like, that seems to be the one that's going to have everything I need long term. So I'm like, so I'm just going to invest now, set it up. I'm like, I'm light on. I can figure it out. I'm like, between all the resources that you have online, blah, 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 I'll be fine. I'll figure it out. And then I got to like July and I was starting to get a few people asking me about, I really want to book in. And I was like, shit, I still have not done this. I'm like, I can't, like, if I haven't done it by now, I'm not doing it without help. And I am the type of person that I have a little bit of a control freak problem in that I need to know how my own website and my own systems work so that if I just want to tweak one small thing, I don't have to go and outsource it. I don't have to wait 3 to 5 business days turnaround for that to happen. I can do it then and there, right in that moment. So I'm a bit of a control freak in that way. So because of that, I knew I wanted to be the one to do it. And then you just happened to, one of your emails put out that you had this offer. And I went, perfect timing. I'm jumping on that.
You did. I think the email that you responded to was the one that I was actually selling systems in session. And like at the very bottom, guys, it was
right
like a
at the bottom.
PS. It was like and I'd really like to test this with a few people in 30 days. Anybody up for it? And like you and Megan, who was the other person who did it in the exact same 30 days that you did. I mean, I think you guys both messaged me within minutes. It was hysterical. Like, oh no, me. Like me. No, I mean, that's great. And I did not realize that you had honestly tried to like DIY or that at least it was on your to-do list for
Yeah.
8 freaking months. Because yes, it was mid-August when we actually had the conversation and you booked
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. I think I had a pretty shitty version of the contact form. I had a terrible version of the proposal because I couldn't figure out how to make it look nice. There was like a few things I tried, and like I think you took one look at it and were like, "Yeah, we're starting from scratch. This is shit." And I'm like, "Yeah, fair call,
I mean, you
fair
guys
call."
appreciate my honesty. And it's funny. You called yourself a control freak. Almost everybody in systems in session, their response is, "Oh no, I'm too much of a control freak to let somebody else do that for me." And I'm just like, that's what I mean. I need to have a banner on my website that's like, "Control freaks welcome. Join me."
Yeah, and like I have friends and everything, so even my website, I have it as on a self-hosted WordPress website using Elementor Pro as my like visual design element. And I have so many people being like, why wouldn't you just use like Squarespace or something? It's so much easier. And I'm like, oh my God, that does not give me the design options I want. It doesn't do this, it doesn't do that. Am I going to cost an arm and a leg? I can get it way cheaper for WordPress. Because I book blog and I've been using WordPress for book blogging for years. I'm like, I know the basics. Look, I may not be able to create the most swishest, fanciest website that I would love to have, but it looks pretty damn good.
I mean, your website does look pretty damn good. Guys, her website is linked in the show notes. Please go check it out, especially now that you realize that she is doing self-hosted WordPress. I mean, come on. Anthea, like, I can't thank you enough for being my guinea pig. I can't thank you enough for joining me on this episode. And I really am so happy to hear from you that 6 months later, that the systems that we built together are doing what they were supposed to do, and that
Yeah.
you and your clients are having such an amazing experience from it. All right, everybody. I just wanted you to get a case study from someone who really was so different than all of the other clients that I have had inside Systems in Session. I mean, she is still a photographer because you guys are
Yes.
constantly asking me if Systems in Session will work for non-photographers. It will, but this is proof in the pudding that it works regardless of what kind of photographer you are and what kind of experience you are trying to deliver to your clients. So I hope that you have taken something away from this episode. And if you are interested in hearing more about Systems in Session, I don't actually know if I still have any more spots for Q2 when this airs. If there are, you can find out more information at coleyjames.com/systems. All right. That's it for this episode. See you next time.